Kanye West is arguably one of the best rappers to grace themselves on this earth, but unfortunately he went through a lot of trials and tribulations. He's got one hell of an ego. He's just simply an expression of art. What really happened to Kanye West when he fell, and how did he come back?
I gotta testify, come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky. I go for mine, I got to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. Well, overdue Jay is chillin', Ye is chillin'. What more can I say? We come on, and when it all falls down, man, I promise you make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, 'cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now.
Kanye West was born in Chicago, raised by his mom Donda, and he went to Chicago South State University, where he began to produce for artists who weren't really big at the time, and he dropped out after his first semester because he wanted to pursue a full career in music. At the time, very risky. So in time, Jay-Z found out what he was doing, he picked up on him, he signed him to his records, and Jay-Z kind of introduced him into the world in terms of producing and so forth, in the sense that he wanted to help him produce some songs for Blueprint.
That's the flow. I got the flow when I don't play calls. I'm in Chicago.
Which was absolutely amazing. At this point, he was establishing his name as a producer in the underground scenes and everything, but he wanted to make music for himself. He wanted to become an established rapper because he had so much he wanted to just get out, and he wanted to rap. Therefore, in time, he signed with Rock Nation, which was something that was a huge achievement for him at the time. And this was the bubbling under for Kanye West. This is when everybody was talking about him at this point of time. And he was coming out with his first album, College Dropout, which was a massive album. It Falls Down in the New Workout Plan, released in 2004. It was a massive album. It was the introductory of Kanye West. This is when he graced himself into the music industry. Everybody was talking about him. He went over to sell the record went over to sell massive millions amount of records and got a Grammy nomination. Unfortunately, he got snubbed, and this is like the first time his ego kind of just was born through his rapping, just a form of expression. This man is a work of art, a living body. He's like an embodiment of art. Unfortunately, he was snubbed. He did stand up to it. He said he felt like he was the best new artist of the year, not this particular woman. He found it very unfair. He was not grateful. He was very upset about it. But he still was able to win the Grammy for the best rap album, and then he showed no form of stopping. This guy was a force to be wrecked with. This guy was an absolute force.
If you had the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.
He released the next album called No Late Registration, topped the Billboard charts. This guy was doing absolute crazy in 2005, back-to-back great albums. He's one of the new upcoming rappers from a producing line that everybody kind of knew in the underground anyways, as he used to produce for artists like Lil Kim and so forth, Jay-Z, so everybody kind of knew who he was. And now he's transcended into this beautiful man who obviously raps so much, very close to his mother at the time as well, an ego that he stands up for himself. It was a great time for Kanye West. He finally got all the recognition that he so badly wanted.
You gon' touch the sky, baby girl, testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly.
And he had his mom described him as being bitterly frank when it came for that particular interview where he was standing with a guy and he just said George Bush does not care about black people.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. Please call.
He was being so truthful, so bitterly truthful that you wouldn't expect from any form of mainstream rapper at the time. So he was definitely a breath of fresh air. And him and 50 Cent released albums on the same day. 50 wanted to see, let's raise the stakes and so forth. 50 got absolutely smashed, obliterated by Kanye West, and his album did absolutely amazing that he released. Kanye West's album was called Graduation, 50's album was called Curtis, and that kind of showed the power that Kanye West has, the amount of fans that he has, that he was growing consistently, that there was no stopping this man. Then came 2008, which was a sad time for him because his mother passed away. I think he took this far more worse than what he tried to present to the public. Like, we thought, okay, quite bad, he'll move on. And there's been sources, there've been arguments, theories and conspiracy theories and so forth that Kanye has never really moved on from that. And this was a pivotal point in his career where apparently he changed. He was becoming someone else, becoming a bit more egotistical. He was going on outbursts. He wasn't able to control himself.
And this is like really meant a lot to me. You know, she would...
This could have been the main pivotal change as to why he changed from the old Kanye to the new Kanye. This was the mode of transition that we saw. 2009, Taylor Swift, that particular moment, a VMA moment that will never be forgotten. Down with the Rats and Britney's moments, something that you just don't forget when it comes to the VMA.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
He stood up, said Beyonce's the best video of all time. It was a shock. Everybody hated Kanye. He was a bit irritable, egotistical. Nobody liked him. The hatred he got from it, he realized and he apologized and so forth. And his mother kind of inspired a new form of album called 808s and Heartbreak, where he was singing a bit more than he was rapping.
How could you be so heartless? How could you?
Wasn't a great singer, I'd say, but it was definitely a good album. His critics didn't really like it and so forth because it was a bit more different than what but he wasn't really bothered because obviously he was inspired by his mother's death, and that was really the facade that was covering him in relation to creating this record. And then he released an album called My Most Beautifully Dark Twisted Fantasy, which was heralded as one of the best albums he's created. A really great construction. This album was absolutely amazing when he released it. It really was in the depth and emotion and all the stuff that was going on from when he was a young kid, his mother passing, all the hatred he's getting, all the critics. He wanted to just sit himself in the studio and he created this absolute beautiful expression of art.
Run away from me, baby. Run away.
Right in the midst of all the nonsense terror that was going on around him, and he wasn't able to control it, so he channeled that into his music, and it was heralded by the critics as one of the best albums he's released ever, and I feel like it definitely is in terms of his career. So in terms of the music, that was still going, you know, well, because he knows how to channel it and expression, all the anger that he has into his music. At times he wasn't able to control himself in public, mother's death and so forth, turning a bit egotistical. There was a change in character, change in motion, but the music was still consistent in terms of attempting to express yourself to create good music. Later on, that next year, he then followed with another album with Jay-Z called Watch the Throne, a beautiful album between two artists, two great rappers combining together. They already have that history, that chemistry between them two anyways, because they've known each other for ages. That only just helps for us as an audience to enjoy it, to see that this is a great form of art. They won a Grammy together as well for this particular album, so this album was most definitely a success for those two in terms of everything. Critical acclaim, the fans, the support, everything was really in this. I think this album was great for Kanye West because everything that he was going through, he really needed this to just stabilize himself in terms of his career. Not that he wasn't already established, because he was, but this album just helped to stabilize him because he was still coming off the hate from 2009 and so forth that was still rubbed around him, and he was giving this egotistical kind of picture from how he used to reflect himself to the audience. In 2011 he went into fashion and so forth. The critics hated it, so he wanted to just ban critics when it comes to his particular shows. So he was venturing now into other stuff and went venturing into Yeezys, kind of just going around. In 2012, you know, he began dating Kim Kardashian. Next thing you know, they turned to Kanye. They've been married, have kids now, and then, you know, it came a point where he was not feeling well on tour. He was going crazy. He then went into mental hospital. He went into a particular hold. Unfortunately, he was not doing well for himself. It was clear that he was going through some form of an outburst. He wasn't able to control himself at all on tours. He was doing these spontaneous speeches. You know, some would say the truth, some would say not the truth, that he was going crazy, whatever. Unfortunately for him, anyway, he was admitted into a mental hospital for a while.
Kanye West is hospitalized today after a string of several bizarre recent incidents.
Kanye West canceled his concert here in LA tonight just hours after ranting and then walking off the stage in Sacramento.
It's a new world, Hillary Clinton! It's a new world!
The hip-hop star reportedly was taken to UCLA Medical Center after a series of erratic public outbursts.
Just take a break, you know, from all the exhaustion that he was suffering, and, you know, his mother's death, the fact that he never was able to get over that properly. He wasn't able to grieve properly over it because he was still suffering from it, and that really was the birth of this new Kanye, unfortunately. Although the music was still good, you know, it was a bit of a difference from the music that he used to create. Not that artists don't grow, but there was a bit of a difference that a lot of people spotted anyways. He never got over his mother's death. the whole, you know, Kimmy conspiracy theories of the Kardashian clan, and, you know, being in sunken place and everything, dyeing his hair blonde and changing his stature. When you see him walking outside, he looked a bit different, he looked a bit upset, looked a bit exhausted, like he's just gone, like the life in his eyes, the soul has just been broken. Making a comeback, he's doing well, he's gaining a bit of weight as well, he's going a bit thick as well, whatever, but we'll see. He's obviously in the camps of making new music. He's most definitely keeping himself alive, well, and, you know, he's got his 2 beautiful kids to look after, which is obviously going to be a new main source of inspiration. But I don't feel like he ever got over his death of his mother, unfortunately, which was a very sad case. But at the same time, I feel like he is still managing to do well for himself, not only for himself but for his wife and for his kids. So I feel like his mother's death in 2008, 2007, that era was more so the pivotal moment of the old Kanye change to the new Kanye that we've got, which I find very interesting because character change and so forth. He's branched out to clothes, shoes, still doing his music. Very successful rapper, sold millions and millions of records, a Grammy award winning rapper, very talented producer as well. Did absolutely amazing when he was young with Lil Kim and Jay-Z, and he's grown into this huge phoenix. You know, had problems, he fell for a bit, but now he's back and he's doing well and he's stable and he's absolutely fine. So hats off to Kanye West, a great rapper that has changed the music industry for a fact, in terms of his impact, in terms of his brutal honesty when it comes to interviews, when it comes to the live moments. He's always given that form of a stature, somebody who would do something that people would think about. So there's a lot more to him than just a rapper. He was a great caricature for the audience, which I thought was very, very important. And, you know, the whole idea of the album Yeezus, which was good as well, and the critics didn't really like it as much, but I felt like it was a good album. Probably, I wouldn't say it was one of his best albums, but it still had this consistent Kanye talent that was doused all over it. So I feel like old Kanye and new Kanye. We've got the new Kanye, unfortunately, but I feel like when people make this transition of old and new, people do grow, people do change, but because they are celebrities in our eyes, we create this idealized image of them, and that's the image that we want them to retain. If they break that image, they become something else. They're therefore dubbed as new. I feel like really and truly this is the same Kanye who's just gone through so many transitions, so many phases, emotions, events in his life, that somebody will bound to change, that will grow, they will break down. It just happens. But to answer the question, I feel like the mother's death was definitely a pivotal moment which kind of transcended into different forms of Kanye. Went through exhaustion and so forth, mentally unstable, people say as well. You know, went to psychiatric hospitals, on tour, he was going absolutely crazy. It was a very sad moment for everybody, most definitely. Everyone was just, you know, in the height of going against Beyonce and Jay-Z. Kim's robbery as well, I feel like that just kind of egged on everything. The fact that his wife got robbed in Paris and so forth. So I feel like there were definitely a lot of situations. But that's my smaller review. This is my music documentary for Kanye West that many of you guys wanted for me to do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below if I missed anything out, or if you would like this review or not. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll most definitely catch you guys soon.